Majority Report segment on Candace going profoundly mask off. Sure, we'll take a look. Why not? Candace Owens mad about culty Jews. Okay.
You'll recall back in the day when Candace Owens was sort of defending some of the stuff Hitler did. You know. Kanye. Yeah. Here is Candace Owens reacting to a report that just before his death, Michael Jackson's will was revised and transferred to a group of people that Candace observes was a majority Jewish. And of course, well, there's a lot you can learn from that, according to Candace Owens.
Wow. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know any of that? Because I certainly didn't. I didn't realize that this was a conflict at the end of Michael Jackson's life, that suddenly they were alleging that he signed a new will and handed everything over to the very people that he was fighting, the very people that he was saying were colluding to take things from him, ended up, in the end, taking things from him, despite their remarkable mistake saying that he signed this new will in a place that he simply wasn't at. So yes, Michael Jackson's estate was transferred over to specific individuals who happened to be Jewish. So what do we make of all of this? What do we make of all of this? What do you think about all of this? Well, I'm going to be honest with you.
Pause it for 1 second. I just want to say, like, when you say, the reason why you say things to people that happen to be Jewish or happen to be black or happen to be, I don't know, race car drivers, is to say that it's irrelevant. That they were of that category of people was irrelevant. But when you bring it up in the first place, when it wasn't explicitly clear, what you're doing is you're implying that it's relevant. Even though I'm pretending and using a language construct that suggests...
This is actually a really common way of onboarding black people into anti-Semitism, is there are a lot of Jewish people in the entertainment industry for the same reason that there are a lot of black people in the entertainment industry, because the entertainment industry was maligned socially at the turn of the century, and it was usually social outcasts or people who couldn't get jobs in respectable professions from getting into it. Black people were big in movies, music, performance, sports. Jewish people, you know, in the various little enclaves that got set up in like from Hollywood to Chicago to Philadelphia, like any place where there was like a Jewish community, you know, a lot of them got into entertainment in a variety of forms, theater, music, whatever else. Now, the difference between a Jewish and a black person from the perspective of white supremacy is that a Jewish person can be treated as white if they look white, because Jewish people are white, at least a lot of them are, right? Like, there's nothing mutually exclusive about being Jewish and white. Jewish is a cultural, ethnic, and religious category. You know, there's a lot of overlap here. So as a consequence of that, when it came time to professionalize, a lot of Jewish people ended up being relatively privileged within the entertainment industry, because if you have like a group of people in Harlem, you have like singers and dancers and producers and everything or whatever, and then things start, like money starts rolling in, you know, it's going to be the whiter people who are more likely to get those management positions, right? I'm simplifying a lot, but like this did play a pretty huge role in it. So Jewish people ended up getting a disproportionate influence over the entertainment industry, in large part for the same reason that white people, like, you know, let them have more control over banking back, because dumb Christians would literally like import Jewish people because they didn't want to do usury, but they still wanted usury to be a part of banking. So it's like, once again, white supremacy really f***ing itself over by saying that actually respectable jobs, which are meant only for white people, are where you like go and wear a stuffy suit and tie and like crunch numbers or whatever. And like all these cool jobs that would end up getting like really, really important and popular, you know, in entertainment, those are ones that are for like minority groups or degenerates or whatever. And then they end up being really powerful. And it's like, whoa, why'd this happen? Anyway, a lot of black anti-Semites get led in on the narrative that Jewish people betrayed black people for control over entertainment. That it went from Jews and blacks in the slums doing entertainment work together to Jews being the producers and managers of black people and like robbing them of their money. And that is at least partially true to the extent that Jewish people, by being more adjacent to white privilege through appearance wise, at least relative to black people, were in more positions to take advantage of the structural stability and exploitation inherent to being a manager or a producer or whatever else. But that was just a consequence of you know, like who was able to take power, basically. It's not really like a broad betrayal or anything. It's just sort of the nature of how management and production works on a big social level. You guys understand what I'm talking about here, right? Like, capitalism happens either way. Somebody was going to end up being in the position of the exploiter anyway.
Yes, that it's irrelevant. So if I say to like Bradley, like, you know, Bradley, you know, good job with this sound sheet today, even though you happen to be late. And there's some things about this sound sheet that didn't work out that I think probably could have used more time, even though you happen to be late.
I didn't realize we were
they're an ethno-religious group, which is another race. Hey, this is a really good litmus test for Nazism, by the way. If a person doesn't think that Jewish people can be white, they're a Nazi. Very, very easy. The fact that Jewish people can be white is like such an unambiguous, obvious, straightforward, like if you argue against this, you have to be some kind of lunatic. Like you have to have some insane bias. Like, you know, the idea there are Asian Jews too. Yes, because Jew isn't a race. It's an ethnic / religious / cultural thing, you know? White supremacists will literally argue that a person is Jewish because they married into a Jewish faith. Like, I'm just sorry, is race like conditional on marriage now? Like, how does that work, you know? They just don't want to admit Jews can be white because they need them to be separate categories of people for them to do the whole, you know, Holocaust too.
Talking about the tardiness also.
It just happened to be right there, but okay, so here, continue, because it just so happens that they were Jewish. That's not relevant to the story, except for...
Because I certainly did, and I didn't realize that this was a conflict at the end of Michael Jackson's life, that suddenly they were alleging that he signed a new will and handed everything over to the very people that he was fighting, the very people that he was saying were colluding to take things from him. Ended up, in the end, taking things from him, despite their remarkable mistake saying that he signed this new will in a place that he simply wasn't at. So yes, Michael Jackson's estate was transferred over to specific individuals who happened to be Jewish. So what do we make of all this? What do we make of all this? What do you think about all of this? Well, I'm going to be honest with you that these claims keep coming up too often in Hollywood for me to be comfortable with it, right? We saw this, obviously, it's not just now the Diddy lawsuit, it's not just now Michael Jackson. We also have seen these claims with Kanye West, notoriously, obviously. When he tweeted out, I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on some Jews, and the media freaked out, and people in the Jewish community were understandably very scared, not knowing what he meant. And I very much abstained from speaking much about the issue because people were so emotional that people couldn't.
She defended Kanye and argued with Ben Shapiro over it.
Here, even if I had shared, and even when Kanye did share that he was speaking about specific people in Hollywood that he believed.
Do we really need to waste time arguing what Kanye meant when he said, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on Jews? Like, what? I'm sorry, like, this postmodern malarkey, like the idea that we need to argue semantic definition. He said he loves Hitler. I'm sorry, like, past the point. Like the time wasted on what did he mean by this? You know, come on.
We're coming after him and we're trying to control him. He actually named some of those individuals. He shared personal text messages of a friend of his, a personal trainer to the stars, who again happens to be Jewish, who's threatening to put him in the hospital and to drug him against his will.
That they should have done that. I still think they should do that.
Harley Pasternak is his name, and the media barely reported on those text messages that he shared publicly because obviously he was enemy number one. And here's what else I will tell you. When that Kanye situation went down, I was being threatened by a person named Rabbi Shmuley.
Oh, man. Hey, Ben. Ben, how's the coal mine looking? Ben? Look at her face.
Person that Michael Jackson put on his enemy list, the person that I had never heard of, was threatening me and saying that unless I came out and said things explicitly against Kanye, he would effectively ruin my life. He said that he would take out a front page ad and smear me as an anti-Semite. And it wasn't just him, it was also his daughter. They're messaging me saying
He should have done it. Like you are. Relevant Rabbi Shmuley tweet. Oh, yeah. Oh, this guy. This is the guy. For Purim, I've dressed up as a Candace Owens Jew. So is this guy just like a Sam Hyde type, but with 1/100th the clout? Like, I assume this guy's just an insane, like, clout chaser, right? I feel like even making a reference to this guy or having him on my screen right now is anti-Semitic.
don't mess with Jews, very bizarre stuff, and they have not stopped.
Fucking insane, super unwell, super Zionist. I'd say it's a 50-50 on whether he's an unwell Zionist or a Nazi who's just doing like a bit.
Be clear. And him and his daughter have consistently pulled clips from this show, taken them out of context, and tried to convince Jewish people that I hate them.
Candace Owens is gripped with a poisonous, almost pathological hatred of Jews. It's actually become very serious.
Okay.
It's actually almost frightening. When you see a woman like Candace Owens blood libeling the Jewish people, by the way, Candace Owens is losing it. Her anti-Semitism goes by the day.
There is something really, truly wrong with Candace Owens. You guys know that I dislike liars and anti-Semites more than anything in the whole entire world. And here, we have a combination of both.
Candace Owens simply will not stop defending Kanye West.
Wait, literally, they haven't said anything wrong yet. What point is trying to be proven here?
It's like an obsession. If she's unable to...
Like, also, Candace Owens is a massive media figure, far larger than me. Can you imagine if I was like in a drama cycle or whatever, and I was like, I couldn't help but notice that of the 1 billion people who are criticizing me, this one is a Jew. Like, that's literally what she's doing. Candace Owens is a massive, massive figure. If I wanted to look at every YouTuber who had made videos against me, I could probably make, like, I could incite pogroms against any ethnic group I want. Like, I notice the Armenian mob keeps coming after me. Look at these 2 Armenian YouTubers who said these things about me. Can't help but notice this pattern of Armenians. Like, that's what she's doing, literally.
To genuinely and authentically condemn what Kanye said. It says a lot about her.
If you come for us, we'll come back at you with everything that we have. I have heard from hundreds of you who feel so backstabbed and betrayed and disappointed in Candace Owens and others who defended, who enabled and encouraged Kanye West to continue spreading lies and venom and medieval Jewish hatred. Candace Owens posted...
They're not saying anything wrong. Just how does she respond to this?
On the media, on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter.
The more she defends Kanye West, the more we're going to call her out.
Defending Kanye, we will come for you.
It's utterly ridiculous. It's insane. I know many Jewish people watch this show. Many Jewish people.
I didn't see them say a single incorrect thing about Candace Owens. Even in all of these clips from these lunatics, they didn't say a single thing that was incorrect about her.
My friends. And so what I
believe
is something that should be explored is whether or not what's happening is that just like within all communities, there are gangs, right? Gangs can form. We understand this.
Oh my God.
In the Black community, we've got the Bloods and we've got the Crips. Well, imagine if the Bloods and the Crips were doing horrific things, murdering people, controlling people with blackmail. And then every time a person spoke out about it, the Bloods and the Crips would call those people racist. We get the media to say those people were racist.
This is literally, like, with no exaggeration, this is literally just the Jewish question. This is without even the slightest alteration. It's just the Jewish question. With no change. There's no euphemism.
Any person that was talking about a specific gang, a small group of people, would say, oh my God, no, 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 no. That's like slavery. You can't at all say anything bad about the Bloods and the Crips. And the entire black community believed it and was scared.
No, you can. You can criticize the Bloods and the Crips. As a matter of fact, that's the default position that people take to like murderous street gangs. You actually can do that. Yeah. And if there was a specific organized group of Jewish people who were doing that, then you could also criticize them for it. You know? What you're doing, however, is just nebulously gesturing at Jewish people and talking about a sneaky cabal of people shutting down anyone criticizing them, which is just the Jewish question.
And thought, oh my God, like, is slavery actually coming back?
Like, yeah, you can criticize Israel, largely a Jewish group, the IDF, largely a Jewish group, the ADL, largely a Zionist group. You know what? Like, you can like, it's not illegal to criticize Jewish people. Epstein was a Jew, right? He's sort of, my understanding is that people are broadly critical of him. Like, it's this idea that you can't criticize Jews. The people who say you can't criticize Jews, what they mean is they want to criticize all Jews. Nazis don't make any distinctions between good Jews and bad Jews. It's the same reason why they pretend that Jews can't be white. You know? Like, the whole point of being a Nazi is not, you know, critically analyzing the individual value of any given member of a minority group, okay? Essentialism is the name of the game.
It would be emotional manipulation because, of course, we would know that despite the fact that the Bloods and the Crips are black, that the majority of black people do not support the crimes that they have committed, the crimes that they continue to commit. It's a gang.
Pause it, because you know all the times where rational human beings go, Bloods and Crips. I mean, they happen to be black. Which
I'm always saying this.
I don't think you have to be black.
At this point, I'm basically just responding to Candace Owens' bit and not to Sam Cedar. I love you, Sam.
People with blackmail. And then every time a person spoke out about it, the Bloods and the Crips would call those people
they
racist.
Went back.
Do not support the crime ring of specific people who are using the fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism. It's food for thought, right?
Where does this happen? There are groups that do this, namely the entirety of the Netanyahu's government, but people criticize them anyway. Like, I've gotten called an anti-Semite for being anti-Israel plenty of times, but it doesn't like meaningfully affect me. Like, they're disingenuous. They weaponize their minority status, much in the same way that Candace Owens has weaponized the fact that she's black. She got criticized for defending Hitler, and her one response was, you think black people are stupid. She's sued organizations for racial bias before. Like, she knows all about taking advantage of being a minority group to defend yourself against criticism.
Right. And I think, again, there have been enough people that are speaking out about a ring in Hollywood, also a ring potentially.
Oh, my God.
Potentially in D.C., that we should start.
In D.C., yeah, Hollywood and in D.C. Yeah. Tell me more about these rings in Hollywood and D.C.
To ask those questions.
Questions.
All of us.
Asking questions.
Black, Spanish, Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, all Americans should want answers, because this appears to be something that is quite sinister.
You know, it really robs me of my ability to do analysis and comparison when, like, it's so straightforward that it's not even, like, what?
Wow.
Something sinister. It's a group of people, and the only thing that she can come up with is that they happen to be Jewish.
This is really common Nazi rhetoric, because she knows that there are limits to what she can say before even the dim-witted conservatives that make up the majority of her audience understand that what she's doing is Nazi shit. So that's the reason why so many Nazis will do this, like, I'm just asking questions. I'm just noticing things. I'm a noticer. I have noticed that this one person is Jewish. I'm just curious about why this person is Jewish and why there just seem to be so many instances of Jewish people doing X or Y. But they don't connect the dots, and they don't make any prescriptive statements about what needs to be done, because the thing that they want done is the Holocaust. They want another Holocaust. This is straightforward Nazi shit, guys. There's no ambiguity here, okay? It's very, very, very direct. When a person starts talking about secret cabals of Jewish mobs in DC and Hollywood that want to shut you down for criticizing them, there has never been a follow-up to that has been like moderate policy, okay? It's never happened. It's just Nazi shit. A lot of Candace Owens' audience doesn't realize how far right she is. Her entire whole audience is not 100% Nazis. Maybe if she gets pushed into more radical stuff, it's going to push some people away, but I just realized this channel also belongs to the cult that Candace Owens accuses. She's right. All you're doing through this clip is reaching, trying to get a gotcha moment because she is a right-winger. Strange you don't have anything to say about the rabbi and his daughter videos threatening her. Smuley is one of the hateful people I've seen. Your silence about what the rabbi says points you are part of the gang. If they're black, it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence. You should never talk about it. Dave Chappelle. Unsubscribe from MR for this one. What about the Jewish threats? They're more obnoxious than Owens. Leave Candace alone. She's not the problem here. It's Shmuley. Nazis are overrepresented online because they are, generally speaking, massive losers who have nothing better to do with their time. Why were you a subscriber to begin with? They weren't. They're lying. They're not a subscriber. They're just a bunch of people like running in, disliking, and leaving. She's telling the truth. These are all first-name bunch of numbers because a lot of them have lost their first accounts, by the way. YouTube isn't run by Elon Musk. You can, in fact, get banned from for being like open Nazi posters. Bunch of Kremlin bots too? No, for the most part when stuff like that happens, it's not bots, it's more like the Nazis have Discord servers and Telegram channels where they'll say, hey, this Jew, Sam Cedar, just made a video critical of based Candace, you know? Let's go in there and show him what for. And a few hundred of them all go in there, make a comment, and then all like each other's comments, giving the impression of an overwhelming wave of attention, when in reality, it's just like a tiny portion of the video's viewership, but they're very, very motivated. You know, same thing happens in Twitter, everything else. Now, bots do get involved, of course, but a lot of it is just like a small group of a few hundred, like, you know, unfaithful losers.